Hey everybody, welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another Choosing Beggar Reddit video. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe, and click on notifications so you don't miss out on the fun. In our first story, our OP volunteers his time to provide the sound system for a charity concert, only charging for his assistant's help. Although this is the agreement, when it comes time to pay, A Choosing Beggar Karen puts her foot down. Let's jump right in. Hey everybody, I'll try to keep this short with the details. I used to do live audio at concerts, providing sound reinforcement for bands and DJs for small venues, usually 100 to 300 people. I am not a full-fledged business, but a local musician who did this to help keep local music going. It is fairly backbreaking work to set up, moving large speaker cabinets, racks of amplifiers and cabling. It takes me 2 to 3 hours to set up for a show, and about 1 to 2 hours after, depending on the size of the venue and the gear I need to use for it. So for a 4-hour show, usually 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., I'm there by 6 p.m. and on the road by 3 a.m. That's 9 hours of work total. For larger events, I usually have to break out the big guns, and if I have to stack equipment, I hire a fellow local musician to help, so I kick him about $200. I don't make much money doing this. I usually charge $200 for setup and teardown, covers my assistant's fee, and $75 per hour of actual audio time. For a 9-hour event with 4 hours of entertainment, I charge $500. I enjoy doing the work and it helps support local music. I also assume all responsibility for my gear, and I carry an insurance policy if my gear hurts someone. But if a drummer smacks the hell out of one of my mics, or a singer spins my mic by the cable like a helicopter, I'm out a $100 mic. It's not very common, but it does happen occasionally. In the 7 years doing it, I never came close to making a return on my investment. Here's the story. A local band member, Mike, asked me if I would do a charity show. One of the guitarists, Chad, Mike's brother, got cancer. He really did. And the band wanted to throw a concert to raise money. I knew the guy and the band, so I said I will do it. I waived my fee, but I gotta still charge the $200 for my laborer. This was going to be an all-day event, starting at 10 a.m. until about 9 p.m. We'd be working from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m., a good 15-16-hour day. My laborer was cool with only making $200 because he knew the guy as well. We were all on board and Mike was not the choosing beggar. The day of the show, me and my laborer are all set up with no issues. Sound check went well. When you're pushing 8 18-inch subs with 8 15-inch tops at around 25,000 watts, it sounds amazing. I always get some payment up front because A, show the client that I have a system and it's ready to go, me showing good faith. B, get paid before the music starts so we don't get ripped off. There has been one time I did a gig expecting to get paid at the end, and the man at the door collecting money left before I got paid. This won't happen again to me. C, because of B, it gives me a clause that if a venue pulls a fast one, I simply leave my amps off and will start breaking down my gear. It's in my clause, and I always get a clause signed for insurance purposes. I love working with local bands, but promoters are the worst and will rip you off any way they can. When it came time to get my payment, Mike's girlfriend Karen, who also handled the money, flipped out. She said, "This is a charity event for Chad, and you have the balls to ask for money? You should be doing this for free, and I'm not paying." I tried explaining I would have charged over $1,000 for this show, that I am doing it for free, but I gotta pay my worker as originally agreed with Mike in the clause which I had on hand. I pulled Mike aside and explained that we had a problem. I went over what we agreed and I said I need to have this fixed before the start of the show or I won't turn on the amps. At this point, I was mostly pissed at her for being so crappy about it. Mike apologized and ended up giving me $200 out of his pocket. He said he'll work it out with Karen later. Not my problem, but I'll take it. I paid my laborer and the show goes fairly smoothly, despite some weather. The event raised about $6,000. After the $200 for my laborer, the only other cost was the headline band, which was $500 because they came from out of state. So after all was said and done, they raised $5,300. A few months later, Mike and Karen split up. Chad is still alive and rockin'. Story number 2 shows us a choosing beggar who asks for a hand, then tries to take the whole arm. Okay, something happened to me this morning and I just can't manage to let it go, so I want to unload it with you guys. This morning I did as I usually do. In between buses, I have about 15 to 20 minutes before my next bus takes me to work. I could choose a closer window, but this time in the morning is kinda sacred to me. I buy a coffee, go to the sun deck in our city, and look over the water and our city's medieval castle. The morning light is amazing and gives me a boost of serenity before the workday starts. So I'm standing there enjoying my coffee and a smoke when a man, it's always a dude, approaches me and asks me for a cigarette. I say, sure, of course, and hand him a cigarette. He takes it, bends down, and picks up my coffee. I look at him quite surprised and say, no, a cigarette, you can have a smoke, but not my coffee. I have to say sort of the same thing a couple of times before he replies. Just one sip. No, I reply. But please, pretty please, he says in a childish voice. No. He looks at me and asks, are you sick? No, but in this time and place you can't be certain. I can carry something, you can carry something. But it's okay, he says. I get really annoyed and say firmly, no, this is enough, now give me my coffee. Then he looks at me and says, well, call the police then. Opens the lid and takes a huge sip and puts it down. He says a bunch of insults to me as he walks a couple of meters away and takes a seat on a bench. It takes all my power not to throw that stupid paper cup after him. I stand there, take a whole bunch of breaths. Then I see my bus rolling in and I see an opportunity. I see him watching me and my cup, so I walk towards him. He lights up, thinking I decided just to give him the coffee when I don't want it anymore. I stop half a meter in front of him and deliberately open the lid and slowly pour the coffee into the trash can. Then I get on my bus, wishing I dared to give him the finger. That's my story. I feel much better now for sharing it. Thank you. Story 3 shows us a choosing beggar who wants to invent his own happy hour cocktails. I could use one right now. This story takes place a few years ago when I worked in the restaurant industry for a huge national chain that is known for their cakes of cheese produced in a factory. We had an awesome happy hour that we graciously extended to all tables and seats in the bar or lounge area. Mixed drinks, beer, and wine were decently discounted. We were generally able to modify most of the menu for people, but due to strict liquor inventory, we were pretty strict in keeping with the listed specials. Our entire staff knew the rules, and they were trained to mention all additional costs to guests to avoid angry customers when they received their bills. Cue Choosing Beggar. He came in with a large party for happy hour and ordered items not listed as a special. One thing we did generously was offer a wine spritzer at the happy hour price, considering that it was only wine and seltzer. This gentleman wanted wine spritzer with a shot of Saint Germain, an item that was not listed as happy hour and therefore now a modified drink. The well-trained server knew to come to notify me, and she also let the customer know that he would be charged the happy hour price for the drink plus a float upcharge. He agreed and proceeded to order them for the entire table over the next few hours. They arrived just before happy hour and started well into the evening. After happy hour, the price of the drinks increased, naturally, based on when they were rung in. Most good servers will offer a last happy hour call as a courtesy. Their server did this and they ordered one more round. This point is important later on. After dinner and spending some decent time there, they asked for the check. Apparently, Choosing Beggar was paying, so everyone left slightly before him to catch a movie next door, and he would meet them. One more point to add was that I was on my last 2 weeks before changing to a different career, and I was just about over stupid flipping Karens. The check hits and Choosing Beggar flips out. He said that he was never notified, that he would be overcharged. I went through my motions of apologizing. I brought the server to the side and confirmed that he was told of the charges, etc. I walked over to him, bar menu in hand. Policy clearly noted the substitutions. He tried to Karen me by saying that the client is always right. Unfortunately, I was immune to his bull, as I was on my way out. He argued and argued, he pleaded and begged, then demanded and threatened a bad customer service letter. All the while, I stood indignant and stalwart. Finally, I printed 2 receipts to show him how much bull this hour-long conversation was over. 15 measly bucks. The float charge isn't an extra charge, it's simply an upcharge for more booze. I'm not sure if he realized that he was being petty, or if he thought that I was being petty, but either way, he walked out. Unfortunately for him, we have a very good relationship with the local police department. We would comp their meals regularly, and they would always show their appreciation with a great presence. We had about 5 squad cars before he could join his friends at the movies. I was knowingly being a jerk, considering that I could have just comped the charge, so I didn't want to escalate the situation more than I had to. I told the police officers that we wouldn't press charges if he paid his bill. I ran inside, added 20% gratuity to the bill. I demanded a license to ensure that the signatures matched in case he tried to contest the charges. He never complained to corporate, he never came back. I still reach out to the GM once in a while and the server as well. We still laugh about it. This has been John from /bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to see more of them, then please hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.